Welcome to part 2 of the N8n training course. I have structured part 2 into 6 points. First of all, I would like to show you how to set up N8n. Then I would like to present the 7 types of N8n nodes to you. Then we can create our very first workflow, a Hello World example. Then I would like to talk about input and output of nodes. And then I would like to present the task to you. And then last but not least, we can discuss a possible solution to that task. Let's set up N8n. And you can do this by simply going to N8n.io. Then at the N8n.io start page, you can click on sign in. And then I would recommend that you start a free trial or go premium directly. I think you can quit any month anyway. There is no hidden costs or whatever, no hidden commitment. So just set up an account by yourself and then log in. And then after you have logged in, you are being redirected to the N8n dashboard here. When you see the overview button, here you see the workflows section, and here you see the workflows that I have created so far. For us, it is important to see this button here, the Create Workflow button on the top right of the dashboard page. And before we're gonna create our very first workflow, I would like to present you the 7 types of N8n nodes. Before we create our very first Hello World workflow example, I would like to present you the 7 types of nodes in N8n. And the first type is the so-called trigger node. The trigger node is executed when an event happens. And an event is something that is beyond N8n's control. For example, I click a button and the workflow starts, or I receive an email with a certain subject and then the node is triggered and the workflow starts. The next type is the so-called data transformation node, and the data transformation node creates data or takes data from the input and then changes that data. Then we have the flow control node, and the flow control node is like the decision point that evaluates conditions and then based on their values goes on with this step or with that step / node. The next type is the so-called action node, and the action node does something in an external system. Something that the N8n platform does not provide by itself. In this example here, we have the Brevo service that allows to send emails to email recipients, and there is plenty of services that we can access. The next type is the so-called AI node, and the AI node made N8n, I think, really popular because it provides LLM/AI agent capabilities and makes it possible to create really powerful workflows. The next type is the so-called core node, and I think of the core node like the action node, but for internal features. For example, with the internal features of N8n, it's possible to create your own HTTP server that receives requests and also sends responses. Also, it's possible to execute code. The last type is the so-called human-in-the-loop node that integrates humans into the workflow, and for example, the workflow waits for a human input and also for humans' approval. Maybe you have noted that on the right side I have put visualizations, and the only visualization that has round corners instead of normal corners is the one of the trigger node. And why do you think that is? The answer is that the trigger node does not receive input from other nodes. And this is the only node that does this, okay? The trigger node is triggered by an external event and not by another node. Let's create our very first workflow called Hello World. For doing so, please go to your N8n dashboard. Let's do this. Here in your N8n dashboard, please click on Create Workflow. In the center, you see a big plus. Click it. Then we're gonna add a manual trigger. Now we can already execute this workflow. Right now, nothing happens instead of this trigger node being executed. What we can do now is we can create a new node, a data transformation node that creates data for us. So let's click on the node type data transformation. And then inside we see all the nodes that are available for data transformation. We're going to click at this node here, edit field set. Here we see that there is an input side, there is an output side, and there is something in the middle. What we're going to do now is we're going to create data. Okay, so we click on add field. Now we see that there is a name, a data type, and a value. Later throughout this course, we're going to clarify what data types are. It has something to do with JavaScript. Okay, so let's say that the name of this key value pair is message, and the value is Hello World. Okay, then we click on back to canvas. Now we see that the manual trigger node is already connected to the edit fields node. This means that after the manual trigger node, the edit fields node is executed. Let's click on execute workflow. And here you can see that the output of the edit fields node is message equals hello world. So, congratulations on finishing your first N8n workflow. Now I would like to talk about input and output. And first I would like to clarify a rule that says that all nodes except trigger nodes can get their input from other nodes. Okay, so please go to your N8n dashboard, and when you have arrived in your dashboard, please create a new workflow. For this workflow, we're going to create a new manual trigger, and then we're going to create a new set node, which by the way you can easily find by typing set up here in the search box. So let's add the set node, and in the set node we're going to define two fields. The first one is called A, and here we do not want to have a string, we want to have a number. So let's say that this is a number and we say that A equals 5. Let's add another field. The second field is called B, and B has the value of 2. Let's go back to the canvas. Let's connect the manual trigger with this set node, and let's add another set node. Here, right after creation, we go back to canvas. Let's connect the first set node with the second set node, and let's open the second set node. Here we want to receive input data from the previous set node. How can we do this? We let N8n know what a possible input could be. So we're gonna execute this step, which means that we're gonna execute the entire workflow until it reaches this step. So let's execute it by pressing this button. Now N8n has executed the workflow until this node, and now we see A and B. Now we can see on the input side A and B, and we see 3 tabs here: schema, table, and JSON. The idea now is that the input data is the input data, okay? But schema, table, and JSON are just 3 different ways of presenting the data. The first one is this like tree-like navigation or this tree-like structure. The second one is a simple table. And the third one is something called JSON, which we're going to cover in the next chapter. Let's go back to schema. Now I'm going to drag and drop A to the drop zone here. And now I'm going to drag and drop B to the second drop zone here. Now the second set node is receiving input from the first set node. Let's go back to canvas. Now we're going to execute the workflow. And now we can see that the second set node, which is named edit fields 1, has the output A equals 5 and B equals 2. Okay, let's open the second set node here. And what we're going to do now is we're going to take the input data and process it and create a third variable C that multiplies A and B with each other. So now we click on add field. We're going to introduce a new variable called C. We set the data type to be number. And now, intuitively, I would say A times B. But N8n doesn't allow me to enter any characters, because it expects a number. So what we're going to do now is we're going to use an expression. We're going to say that whatever is evaluated here in this text box results in something meaningful. So now we say that we want to have access to the input variables A and B. Now we do something, we're going to type something that I'm going to clarify in the next chapter. But for this lecture's sake, let's just pretend that you know what I'm doing here. $JSON dot A multiply $JSON dot B. Okay, so when this is green highlighted, this means that this expression is valid. Okay, let's click on execute step, and we see that now the workflow has been executed again. A equals 5, B equals 2, and C equals 10. Let's go back to the canvas and now let's execute the entire workflow again. Now the entire workflow has been executed and we see A equals 5, B equals 2, and C equals 10. Now I would like to give you a little task. So first of all, please create a new N8n workflow that has one manual trigger, one set node that creates 2 fields, word1 equals hello and word2 equals world. And those 2 fields should be sent to the second set node, and the second set node should take both fields and should print out hello world as one concatenated string. Have fun. And also you may pause this video now until you're done, and so that we can compare the solutions. Thank you. Okay, let's try to solve this. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to create a new workflow. Then we're going to create a manual trigger. Then we're going to create a set node. And in the set node, we're going to create two fields. Word1, which equals hello, and word2, that equals world. Then we're going to connect the manual trigger with the set node, and we're going to create a second set node. Then we're going to create the first set node with the second set node. And then we're going to open the second set node, and we're going to execute the workflow until this node. Now we are seeing word 1 and word 2 have arrived. And now we're going to drag word 1, and we're going to drag and drop word 2 into the drop zones. And then we're going to add a new field, let's call it message. And message consists of JSON.word1 plus, and now you should be careful, one empty space plus JSON.word2. Now let's execute this node. Now we have the resulting message here. We're going to go back to the canvas, and we're going to execute the entire workflow again. Now we are seeing here the output is hello world.